Hmm. Well. This is going to be very bittersweet, because I have briefly read this, not in its entirety, we'll do that together, but this does seem like it's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for me. Hey Galen. So, the new banned and restricted announcements for FaB. It wasn't originally what I wanted to do this morning. I wanted to just crack some boxes. I wanted to crack a Arcane Rising box, and then a Tales case. But we gotta give this a read. Hey Black Belt. This hit all my decks. It's the only decks I play a combo, and now the only format I can play is Living Legend, in which case combo is dog shit, because not all heroes are created equal. And this is a doubling down on their mentality towards banning that I really just hate, and I cannot agree with. So I do think this is, I'm not playing FaB anymore. I will probably dabble and collect, but unless, you know, they print cards to make up for everything they're getting rid of. FaB, it's healthy for FaB in general, but it's just not the game for me anymore, unfortunately. Right, so the banned and restricted announcements. So this October, Flesh and Blood celebrates its 5th anniversary. 14 sets, over 3,000 unique cards, yet there's still some issues. So that tells you there's a handling issue there, especially when, you know, the majority of 3,000 unique cards is on the unusable side of things. Overall, this is, I'm going to be a bit jaded because of what this entails. Ooh. With 3 sets finished and in production to release in 2025, it's been an incredible journey to see FaB grow into a global game loved by fans. That's really good to know, actually. So they are 3 sets ahead in terms of production. This article was originally intended to be published as part of the 5th anniversary content in October. Previously announced October 1st bans and restricted announcement. After further reflection, we think it's best, in the best interest of fans, to publish this prior to Rosetta's world premiere, which I also think is a real big dick move. Because I know there's a lot of people who are planning, building, and doing everything involving this list, right? Especially with the Lightning Heroes in Art of War. So, to just do it now, rather than the Miss Veil treatment, where again, everyone could have their fun, and then the ban hammer comes down, is a little bit annoying, especially because I know there'll be a ton of people who have pre-orders. It's just awful timing, right? It's basically so the common person can't pull out of the set. So the new format can be evaluated with clarity from the get-go, and fans can make informed decisions when acquiring the cards for the Rosetta season. Again, should have been much earlier if that was the case, or later, in my opinion. Prior to Flesh and Blood's release on October 11th, 2019, we spent years designing and developing the innovative game system we know today. Our learnings from that initial creation phase and the formative years post-release pale in comparison to what we know today, which is very understandable. Again, you took something that was developed by a handful of people and you exposed it to a decent-sized community who now all has a hive mind mentality in terms of testing, developing, and just beelining better games, right? Then completely under the radar, but yeah. If you're just getting to FaB now, I think this is a very healthy change. But for anyone who's been around, it is a very bittersweet change that will definitely, as they acknowledge as well at the end of the article, because again I have just glossed over it, will be a farewell for some people. So, continuing learning improvements are one of my personal lifelong disciplines and a core internal value of Legend Story Studios. I also believe that learning improvement requires self-reflection. As we approach our 5th anniversary, it's time to reflect on where we are and act on what we've learned about the strengths and vulnerabilities of the game system. Again, we'll get into this, but he's acknowledging it and still doubling down and being stubborn by very, very, in my opinion, better changes that a lot of the community is advocating for, which, again, we'll get into. So, this was the original design principle for Flesh and Blood, right? Startfall. Game system simulates heroes containing their their best of the best, right? Full energy. Think of it as any RPG or a D&D game, right? You have your maximum strength, and then as you're playing the game, you're exhausting all your resources, and then it comes down to that bare knuckle brawl type mentality, right? Reduced variance, they don't want it to be a who can draw best type of situation. They want it to be whoever can use the cards they have drawn the best, right? Every card counts. Very questionable, right? But that was their initial intention, to make every card impactful, every card count, regardless of rarity. Reward good decisions, not good luck. Again, that is basically the same as reduced variance, just the outcome of reduced variance. So reflecting on these design principles today, some held true, some have eroded, and one is no longer functional, right? So, Startful, this holds true, but is no longer functional. Instead, is a statement of fact about how the Flesh and Blood game system works. Again, challenge with new concepts of card management in order to master the endgame. Also, a bit of a debate, right? Because there are definitely heroes that, once they get going, they ramp, right? They don't lose or run out of resources. They set up and they ramp, right? So, I don't think this is a fundamental fact, right? It's what they want it to be, but again, you'd have to cut so many heroes, right? You need to cut a ton of equipment that they have decided. Again, my philosophy, whenever it came to equipment, should have been, if it's, low rarity, it is a powerful one-off effect, and then the high rarity gear should be a sustained but very, very meager effect, which is not, right? Tunic as the baseline for a meager effect is fantastic. It is a powerful card, and too powerful, in a sense, right? So, all legendary equipment is long-lasting, it doesn't degrade, right? If you throw it out to block, the average mentality for a lot of people, and for a lot of pieces of gear, is, well, now I'm going to lose out for this buff for the rest of the game, so I'm not going to. And then in the case of the equipment that's made for blocking, well, it's got the other situation, right, where you can cycle it back in Assassin, in Warrior, and again, get the block back, right? So, I full-heartedly disagree that this is not a statement of fact. This is still their intention, but it's not a statement of fact in terms of their design philosophy, right? Reduced variance, the innovative pitch system is fantastic, right? Again, having the resource system work like this is a fantastic, unique, and again, one of the things that really makes FaB a very standout game, standout feature, very tactical, right? So that's fantastic. Every card counts. For the most part, this principle holds true. It's the archetype and the matchup dependent, but that has been the case for a long time. We don't see every game getting to the second cycle as mandatory requirements to satisfy this principle, but we do want second cycle decks to be a meaningful part of the game. I assume a second cycle deck is fatigue, right? Is what they mean, right? They, as the hero pool grows, right, unless they continue to try and make sure, at the top end there's only 8-ish heroes in the metagame or something around that. Again, this becomes an issue, because the more heroes that are in the meta, the more the sideboard needs to be tweaked. And I think one of the big changes they should make is strip Classic Constructor back down to a 60 card deck, right? Not 80 card, but have a lot more transition. Have setups actually applicable, so that you can play whoever you want, and then you can deck tech into the right setup. Not, obviously, take a completely new deck, but, in any pro event, you have, say, 5 to 10 cards set aside for each of the different matchups, for control, fatigue, for wide, for aggro, however you want to phrase them, right? Would be the tactical change, in my opinion, that would make every card count. Not only would you have a lot of, more unique cards, see play, well, not play, but see listing in deck lists. Anyway, reward good decisions, not good luck. Again, fantastic. I have loved how combo works in FaB, because no combo seems to be free, right? I've done a lot of things with combos, and even the simplest combo is still a challenge, because then you run into the deck size, you run into the card variance, and overall, I have not had a single issue with combo, even in Kano. So, this is on the money, but I think this is an overcorrection, everything going forward. The reflections on and course correction. Where to from here? Firstly, it's time to update the design principles that we carry that will carry us forward for the next 5 years and beyond. While the initial principles were constructed to be a tentpole for the game's design, it's critical we now broaden these principles to cover the game's development as well, guiding the two connected but independent functions that exist within the process of creating Flesh and Blood. So Flesh and Blood design and development principles for 2025. Right, the following design principles serve to guide us in the creation of game pieces using the fundamental building blocks of Flesh and Blood as the game system. This should have been done a lot earlier, in all honesty. Right? There was a few ways they could have gone, and this is, in my opinion, a kind of a too late principle, unless they decide to throw out the majority of cards already developed, right? Because anything designed through this philosophy, through this principle, is going to be significantly weaker than any older card, right? So you either get rid of the heroes, you get rid of the classes, or you get rid of the cards. And that's what we will see going forward, because there is going to be an absence of power, right? In order to keep cards in this new design principle, right, they have to tape them down. And so instead of, trying to power everyone up to match, they're going to try to create more balanced, more refined heroes that, again, until everyone else leaves, are going to be, middle to bottom, right? Unless they get, again, something that breaks us. Class, talent, and hero identity. So create heroes that embody the essence of their class, talent, and character. Cultivate and preserve a unique mechanical identity for each class talent, which again, they have been doing fantastically, right? I don't argue with that, but again, it's a very tough to balance act when you have so many unique mechanics within a game, right, that all fundamentally work different. Empower agency. Curate a card pool and metagame where players have choices that allow them to meaningfully engage with the game plan of their opponents. Again, going back to extending the inventory selection, right? The sideboard for any given hero or class or deck, right? But then limiting how much of that sideboard they can use or change into, even if it's you have your main deck list and you can only swap 5 cards in, right? Something like that. To then free up the tactical advantage of having access to more cards to critically change your deck. And again, really lean into the tactical side of Flesh and Blood. Every card counts. Curate metagames that include archetypes where every card in a deck plays a meaningful role to determine the outcome of a game. Again, this is a very hard ask, right? Unless they really decrease the variance of cards. Put it this way. You have one hero that does X and one hero that does Y, right? Those two factors are never equatable. So how do you balance that interaction? Then you times that by the number of heroes and classes they actually have, which is 20-something, right? I think it's greater than 20 at this point. And the only way to do that is then to make significantly less complex cards so that you can, again, balance the interactions. So all this reads to me is a severe cut in power, which again doesn't work because they have 5 years of established heroes, of an established ramp in power, right? Tails, Mistveil, we've seen power continue to grow, especially in the dual talented classes. Well, not dual talented, as in talented classes. Path to victory. Now, this is the interesting one for me, right? Because they want combo or OTK to be a thing, and they want to be a meaningful quest to execute, which is fantastic. From every deck I've played or every deck I've tried to make, it is that. It is still that. Offer players a strategy and card synergies that create game states slanted towards offensive advantages so that most games end with one hero being reduced to 0 life. Primarily dispense offensive advantages across multiple turns rather than a single burst. So that's also a problem. Because that's again a design issue, right? Ranger, they've continued to push towards burst. Ninja, always been burst. And it's them trying to cut out something. So any hero they make with that mindset has to be severely neutered, right? They have to think ahead and go, well, what's the average block? What's the average damage? Fine, right? They can do burst, but burst has to take X amount of turns to set up. And it's just this big headache that could be easily rectified with what everyone keeps advocating for, which is specific bans. Speaking of bans, this is the point where I question whether or not FaB is a game for me anymore, right? So secondly, it's time to remove some cards from official tournament play. That is in itself problematic because the play scene for FaB is basically just the competitive scene, right? Casual play isn't that fundamental, and anything that is casual is not going to feature these cards. No, it's going to feature cards from the current sets, from specific pools, and that's not these cards. So the following cards are banned in both Classic Constructed and Blitz, effective at the end of this week, or is that Monday? I think they'll probably be Monday, right? Bans are every Monday. No, bans are announced early week, Friday. I have a calendar. Why don't I just check the calendar? It's down here. The 9th is the Monday. Yeah, it's the Monday, right? So Art of War, Bonds of Ancestry, cash in, right? The Mystical Tenants, Tome of Aetherwind, Tome of Divinity, Tome of Ferendale, Tome of Firebrand, Tome of Earth, is it Earth, or Tome of Rebirth? No, Tome of Harvest, that's what it's called. Tome of Harvest is not on there because it's dog shit, nor is the Shadow one. We could go and look through Tome of Duplicity, right? Because these are shit, right? They don't serve the Tome metric, which is, again, accomplish X to get a card advantage, right? And Art of War, Cash-In, and Tome of Ferendale are in every single actual deck that I have, right? As in physical card decks that I make and want to play with, all feature those 6 cards. 9 cards, right? Classic Constructed is 3s. So that is a problem, because that is a lot of cards to cut out, and they are fundamental to every deck I run. And this goes back to this line. Require combos and one-turn OTK decks to complete a meaningful, difficult quest to execute their fundamental kill turn. So the reason to get rid of these is because of that. But at the same time, think about the hoops you have to get through, right? Art of War, sure, you've got the burst output, so if you stack them up, that's an issue, right? That's somewhat understandable, but who does that really affect? Not that many people, right? A +1 and 2 card cycle is good, or a go again and a 2 card cycle is good. These things aren't fantastic though, and they still require setup, right? The big issue with Art of War, when it comes to anything relating to combo, is cheating resources. And the fundamental thing that allows every deck to cheat resources is Tunic, and every card they make equivalent, or trying to make equivalent, to Tunic. That is the big problem. The other big problem is these are all in yellow, right? If they were in red, they'd be a little bit more detrimental. I'd rather see tweaks and changes, or specific bans, than this, because this affects the weak heroes who can benefit from these cards and have, some sort of foot in the ring, but instead they're just now complete bottom barrel, right? These cards are not critical, but they are something that will allow them to close the gap even a little. But now it's wait until LSS decides to make a hero relevant, which I think is horrendous, right? To flood the game with X amount of heroes, but then to have the play space dictate, right? Not the community. The play space dictate what heroes are actually usable. If it was community driven, that'd be fantastic, right? But there is no secret hero. There is no hero that no one has figured out could be meta. It is the cards dictating and LSS printing. So I absolutely hate these bans. I think none of them are deserved, right? Art of War, again, it is never an applicable +1. It is cycle. It is, again, a go again for a big hero. It is burst damage for a little hero. And yes, burst has been getting out of control, but there are many other ways to handle that. And if this was specific bans, that would be significantly better. Bonds of Ancestry, completely agreeable. Right, that one's unquestionable. That is a very disgusting card. But again, is more of a Zen thing than other ninjas. But maybe they plan around it, right? Cash In. We already had the gold set. The gold set did not make Cash In a super powerful card. It helped. It did make a super powerful card. Gold is another thing that will become a problem if these cards are a problem, because gold has many ways to cheat it out again, right? You can tunic it to get an extra card off 2 gold instead of 3. You can use an energy potion to crack it straight away, turn an energy potion into a +1 card, which then is, maybe sometimes a +1 pitch, or just a +1 card in general. That combo itself, I think, is underutilized by the community, but again, it requires setup. The Cash In is not this instant include and use it, right? You have to sacrifice a headpiece of equipment for cash in to be a instant draw powerful card. Other than that, you need setup to set up the gold. So cash in to me is another stupid bet. Tenant is arguably the best to draw. Should not be instant, right? It should not be flippable. So that I can agree with, but it speaks to the power, right? They limit it to 1 copy for that reason. It is 1 in 60 cards. You have to find 1 in 60 cards. Now, I understand they're wanting to decrease variance, but they don't want it to be nothing. You can't plan around finding Tenant. You do, you've lost. So, to me, again, there is not a huge issue with it. It's just the problem that the 3 heroes that it's in are kind of strong, right? Compared to the meta. Tome of Aetherwind. Tome of Aetherwind, again, without Kano's ability, what's the problem? We can see that the ability for Wizard to cheat out to go again is not huge. Blaze, problem. But is it? Because it's damage based, right? So you can't use Tome of Aetherwind. But I don't understand Tome of Aetherwind being the issue, because you have hoops that you have to jump through to make it useful, right? None of these cards are powerful by themselves. They have reasonable hoops that you have to jump through. Tome of Divinity, it ends up being positive, right? There's resource cheating now for the light. Well, you know, there's already Vestige of Soul, which does work as well. But again, none of these cards are an auto-include, auto-plan around, auto-gain a card. They have hoops to jump through. Tome of Ferendale, it's being hit because it's in the generic slot. Pay 1 is already a problem. If you have to pitch any card into it, it's neutral draw, so it's just cycle. It's not positive draw. Tome of Ferendale is bottom of the barrel, right? This is the best, aside from gold, which again you have to generate, so gold is actually kind of bad in terms of card generation. Tome of Ferendale is the bottom line standard card for draw, and I see absolutely nothing wrong with it, right? You have to get an action point, you have to get a resource to get a positive card. You don't get the resource, right? It's a 2-card cycle, which is good. Allows you to try and, again, cut down on RNG, which is something they want, right? But it's still something you have to get around. Tome of Firebrand, Tome of Firebrand. You know what's funny? That the Dromai, the Royal Tome, is not on this. But I do need to look up Tome of Firebrand, because I can't remember. I think it's sort of playing FaB, right? I've never really played FaB, but it also doesn't seem that problematic to me. Let's see what the constraints are for Tome of Firebrand. Is it the Chainlink one? Which is, again, also a hard ask. Yeah. So, Tome of Firebrand is if you control 4 or more Draconic Chainlinks, draw 2. So that is the same statting as Tome of Ferendale, but you need the... Why can't I put that there? You don't need the action point because it's instant. So you still have to have played 4 cards from hand, right? And had the resource to draw 2 cards. To draw 1 card. To get 1 card back. Right? Again, that goes back to burst, but is it an overcorrection when it's in 1 hero? Right? You could read into this. So we're getting, in the 3 sets that are already done, right? We are getting probably Draconic and another Return to Monarch, right? But anyway, let's read the rationales. So Art of War has been one of the pillars of competitive play since its printing in Arcane Rising. This is the most consequential. This is the most consequential of the cards being removed from Classic, Instructed, and Blitz. Some people might ask why Blood Rush Bellows. Okay, well, Art of War isn't. On the surface, they're both cards that cost 1 resource to trade 2 cards for 2 cards with a powerful buff. Art of War, being a generic, has meant that it has the privilege of interacting with every additional card that's been printed since its original release, whereas Blood Rush Bellow is only for brutes, right? And you know what the Band-Aid should have been for this? Don't ban Art of War. Ban every hero that doesn't have an Art of War-esque card, right? So ban in Brute, ban it in Ninja, ban it in Ranger now, right? And then work your way through it, instead of just pulling it out. But I still don't think it should be removed. Again, you have to weigh up the metrics of banking on drawing it, right? Having all the appropriate things to play correctly, and have that big powerful turn, or just a normal turn. And yeah, it all comes down to to generics being a big problem for the game. As the card pool has expanded, numerous ways to cheat Art of War. Again, they acknowledge that it's the resource cheating is the issue, but they're not handling the resource cheating. Has emerged, which again begs to ask, are they going to plan resource cheating into every hero? If they are, then resource cheating becomes a mandatory inclusion for gear, right? Because unless something equates to tunic, there is no point to take it, especially in Classic Constructed, if they're trying to slow down the meta. The Art of War costs have emerged, such as shadow cards have been played from the Banish Zone. Phoenix Flames returning to hand and Crouching Tigers creates in hand. So basically cards that you can use as Art of War fodder. They currently exist. There's a lot more valuable design space. But look, 2 heroes. Dromai doesn't really play Phoenix, nor does Emperor. 3 heroes. And then Crouching Tigers. Yeah, Zen. I still don't think there's any merit to Katsu, right? I don't think Katsu Tigers is a thing. So they're doing this complete ban because of 4 heroes. That's a problem, right? Especially if, again, they're going to continue making heroes. There should be hero-specific bans. You're banning it because, in the minority, it is too powerful. There's a lot more valuable design space we want to explore in the coming years that Art of War would continue to exploit if it remained legal. Art of War has been a suppressive force that we had to continually design and develop around, while also being the most notorious card on the list for creating kinds of extreme offensive overlaps that update the design and development principles that they're aiming to curb. Not because of 4 heroes. What heroes? What other heroes does it become overpowered, right? I'm not saying it's not a powerful swing turn, because of the constraints of future design. Okay? In the constraints of future design, the problems that they are outlining for Art of War is card creation and resource cheating, right? If card creation becomes a mandatory thing in every single hero, or the majority of heroes, that then argues with their principle of unique design for each hero, right? If they include resource cheating into everything, that then argues make every card count. You could dive into roots of all these cards, and I think, again, their overcorrection for banning is a bit problematic, right? Yes, there are heroes that it's really problematic at the moment, but they're doing things preemptively. Like, what other design could Art of War affect? They don't want more burst, right? They already have a plethora of burst heroes. They want to give them more burst, but also taper off burst. Like, they're just going to create another evil through this. Getting rid of Art of War just opens them up to, again, strip down its effects, put it to multiple cards. And there's going to be the same problem. At least that's my thoughts and opinion, right? Bonds of Ancestry, I don't think we have to read Bonds of Ancestry. Again, we'll have to see what Katsu gets, but, again, then ban it. Same reason they banned Berserk, it's going to be... Oh, but no. Berserk was the issue because Berserk creates an infinite loop. So I can't say they are the same. Berserk, it was just the extreme of the discard. Because again, maybe if they limited Berserk to 1 copy, that could have been a starting point. But they got rid of Berserk because Berserk caused an infinite loop. There is an infinite loop with, well, it's not an infinite loop, but there is a huge loop with Zen. But only Zen. Most other classes or heroes, again, it creates a powerful turn, but it still requires setup. Right? It's not just a given when you draw it. You have to have other things in place. You have to work towards it as an overall objective. Berserk, again, you had a multitude of equipment, or basically the majority of brute cards that are actually played as the starter. There was no RNG, right, involved in it. That was the big problem for me with Berserk. The cash-in is currently not a problem, but we're getting rid of it anyway. As gold becomes more prevalent, the cost to draw 2 cards becomes lower and lower. We're banning cash-in before the time comes. So, that also completely sucks, because the package you have to take for cash in. Yeah, I know they do different things, but they both have cards that have to be designed around. They don't want to do that anymore. Every card has to be designed around. And that's their overall problem with the generic slot. It's just because Art of War, again, is such a big auto-include. Like, yes, I get where you're coming from. But they're taking out fun from a lot of heroes that could see use with it. And I understand Living Legend is still a thing with all these cards. But these cards in the bottom of the barrel heroes, right, help them get an edge. These cards in Living Legend in those same heroes doesn't matter, because again, the heroes that go to the extremes with these cards are around. But I mean, cash-in is that same philosophy. They're getting rid of cash-in because they don't want to plan around, or they want freedom to make gold, right? We could go through the list of cards, and every card prior to this statement, and this is the big issue that I have with this statement, is there will never be an end. Everything they've printed prior to this is already a step ahead of these design principles. So every card will at some point become an issue. And it's almost like they want a clean slate, but they will never get to a clean slate. Again, I'm over jaded, right, when it comes to reading any of this, so do take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. This ban directly affects everything I play and like to play. I don't think that these are bad changes. I think for the overall of the game, they are definitely healthy, but they are bittersweet, and they are a step in a direction that I don't know if I want to tag along, right, so to speak. Because, again, everything I play, everything I enjoy, I like seeking out the combos, and all combos to me, so far, still require setup, still require planning, still require things to fall into place, and these aren't the issues, right? The issues are how these cards are cheated out. They're the issue, and Tunic is a fundamentally big issue when it comes to that. Alright, yeah, so cash in, right, as gold becomes more prevalent, so this begs the question of how much they're going to ramp up gold generation, right, for this to be an issue. If they reprint cash in without the clause, maybe, right, where it just relies on copper or silver, that'd be interesting. But cash in itself allows gold to be greater than its current level. So there's 3 stages to the gold token use, right? You have the general 3 gold token, gets you 1 extra card, because you pitch 2 blues, and that's if you have 2 blues and you're running a majority blue deck, right? So bear that in mind as well. So you pitch 2 blues, and that allows you to net 1 card off 3 gold. You have any sort of resource extra generation or floating, right? And then you can pitch 2 gold. So for instance, with Tunic, you only have to pitch 1 blue, right? So then you can pop 2 gold and you get 1. So 2 gold for 1 card, right? And then you have cash in, which is 1 gold for 2 cards. But then you're also using cash in, so you're only getting 1 card, right? Cash in, to me, in that sense, is perfectly balanced. Because there is no other step unless they suddenly make gold, 1 gold for 1 extra card somehow, right? If there's just an easy way to generate 2 resources other than, stocking up a energy potion. So from how cash-in works with gold, it is the perfect place. You have to find it, you have to have the gold, and then it allows gold to be used in its most optimized state compared to every other use of gold. So if Firebrand, like cash-in, ToA Firebrand is not relevant right now. However, as the Draconic card pool grows, then it'll become easier to use. So we're getting a return to Draconic, right? But then we're also getting a return to Burst Draconic, and that's what ToA Firebrand is utilized for. Which again, curious, considering they want to disperse Burst, right? Multiple turns. So how do you do 4 chain links where this is a problem, right? Because ToA Firebrand's only if you get past 4 chain links, without that being burst damage. You're hitting for 0s and 1s. Mystical Tenants, right? Again, acceptable. It shouldn't be flippable. Probably shouldn't be instant. But, the thought that Legendary would work with it, but didn't. Again, it's more, to me personally, about the heroes. I mean, they cite 12 petals as a big issue. Again, resource cheating being a big issue, but they're not tackling that. Tome of Divinity, like Orion of Mystical Tenets, Tome of Divinity has a design intent that you complete your quest, right? Getting cards into your soul to yield extra cards. Compare it with Vestige of Soul. Again, a specific card, so you have to take a specific set of cards to make it its highest form, right? And they don't want that option, because then it's more optimized than everything else. So maybe Tome of Vestige should be the thing. Sorry, Vestige of Soul should be the thing, right? And then you go back and you go, well, now Tome of Divinity needs X, Y, and Z to make it work. Compared to Orion, Tome of Divinity is generally a better designed card. The quest it asks you to do is more meaningful, and the downside of Tome is higher. Being a yellow card with no offensive value, the real strike against Tome of Divinity, however, is being able to play multiple of them in the same turn, often resulting in a hopeless game states for the opponent. Win more. I think that's another thing probably worth discussing, right? How many of these cards are win more rather than, again, recoup the game or win on the spot, right? Again, to me, they all take a decent level of setup to do. Maybe not the Vestige of Soul, right? But I would put more blame on the equipment than on these cards. The outcome Tome of Divinity creates are often different from what other classes are doing with card draw. Typically, it doesn't lead to immediate combat damage overlaps. Rather, the deployment of multiple auras that can create board states that are overwhelming and unreasonable to deal with. The game may continue to be played for several more turns, but the game fundamentally ended at the point that the double Tome of Divinity was playing. Again, this is to me the wrong way to handle it, right? They're outlining how everything else is an issue along with Tome, right? I'm not saying Tome of Divinity isn't the issue here, but they're outlining that the aura generation that Illusionist has access to is an issue, right? Tome of Divinity in Bolton is good. So why is he getting the brunt of the band as well, right? Using Tome of Divinity in another way to put a card in your soul, right? Charge your soul with Bolton is a reasonable line of play. You don't have to take Vestige of Soul. But he's suffering because Prism is too powerful, right? I'm not saying that these bans aren't necessary, but refinements of these bans is something I would much rather see than just blanket and everyone get harmed, every hero in every class get harmed, right? But yeah, the aura generation is a problem. They're printing more aura destruction. That is now also less relevant, right? There's a knock-on effect to what they're doing, and that's always the issue when you what's not obviously buff and debuff, but it's not debuff, right? They're reducing the power of everything in the game, which is, again, in line with their new principles, but then begs the question of, well, you know, how long before every other card before 2024 becomes a problem, right? Because we have such a difference in power level for the designs. So I would rather them see proper, you know, refinement in band selection, right? Specific bands to specific heroes, and overall better management of this, rather than just we'll get rid of it. We'll just get rid of it, right? It seems like the easy way out for me, and that's a problem. Again, jaded because this affects the majority of decks that I play, right? Tome Fair and Down. The original Draw 2 printed all the way back in Mortal Wraith in many ways is what card draw should look like. It consumes an action point. The problem is its generic status, meaning it can be played by heroes that are efficient at generating action points. Again, they literally outline that Tome Fair and Down is what draw should look like. But because of X heroes, it's now a problem. So every hero can't have it. Like that just blows my mind. They are that comfortable saying it, and then going, well, instead of banning it in the heroes that we know it's a problem in, everyone can't have it, right? So unlike Art of War, right, this is LSS stating that this is what draw should be in the game, right? But oh well, let's just get rid of it for everyone. With Rosetta releasing new Lightning and Wizard heroes, Klloo festering on the influx of new Wizard cards, and Dash.io receiving more support with their Armory deck in October, the true costs of Tome become easier to bypass than ever before. Again, listing 2 heroes overlap, so 3, right? 2 Wizards, 1 Lightning, plus Klloo, 4, plus Dash, 5. Well, Mechanologist in general, right? We're at 8. 8 heroes out of how many? In a card that, again, they are stating is, by all means, a perfectly designed or a correctly designed card. But because it affects 9 heroes, they're getting rid of it for 27. Right? For currently 27 heroes, they're getting rid of it. It's more, actually, right? Because the Rosetta heroes aren't here. It's 31 heroes. They're cutting it from 31 heroes because 9 is problematic. Why not just ban them in 9? They made the list. They stated here. Tome of Aetherwind. Tome of Aetherwind has some reasonable qualities to it. It consumes an action point and has significant downside where it's drawn out of sequence, being red and 2 defense. It also ticks the class identity box of the up-to-date design. That being said, Klloo and how do you say? Ocelot, right? Are easily able to bypass the real cost of the card. Tome of Aetherwind sits at an awkward crossroads, where it's either playable by wizards that can easily bypass the action point, right? Or is used for the purpose of being degenerate. Yeah. It's hard for a card of this nature to ever occupy the middle ground of doing fair things. Okay, this seems somewhat curious, right? So again, it's unplayable, technically. I can probably find something, right? For it in Inheritance. But again, 2 out of the 6 spoil it for the bunch. They are banning cards based on a minority, outlining that they absolutely know it's a minority, and not doing anything with it. That is a fundamental choice that I cannot get behind, right? That I cannot agree with. Because there's full acknowledgement. When it comes to the new Lightning Wizard, I haven't tested anything, but isn't it mainly Klloo's ability that becomes the drastic issue? Cycling 1 instant doesn't seem like a big issue. There's not that many ways for Lightning Wizard yet, unless they've spoiled something to make non-action cards instant. There's lots of ways for them to give them action, go again. Right? In which case, fine. 0 cost for 2 draw with go again is kind of a problem. I'm trying to think what the... You know what? We might as well do this. Just go Lightning. The only ones that come to mind are all things where you have to pay a cost, right? Embodiment of Lightning token. Isn't that only attacks anyway? Yeah, so whenever you play an action card, you have to pay 1, right? Which circumvents the cost of Tome of Aetherwind. You then have... What else? What other ways are there for it to be instant, right? Because his own effect is not that substantial. It's discard and draw, right? And it's once per turn anyway. Pretty sure everything has reasonable ways. So yeah, again, to me, everything just feels like an overcorrection. And it affects everything I play. That's why I'm jaded. That's why I think these are, in the moment, bad decisions. They are definitely good for the overall health of the game and design going forward, but it also begs into question everything that was designed for this principle. Because everything has been ramping in power, right? The generic slot has always been, in my opinion, significantly overused. But you have a card like Command & Conquer, which, while they don't have to design around it, maybe they do, right? But, you know, it's just not that critical of an issue, because the design around is just, you know, make sure you can block it, you can stop it, right? I mean, that's kind of why they invented block cards, and then block cards just got shat on. But, yeah, there are so many cards in generic that I can think of that will become an issue, right? Warmongers, all these auto-include cards that have to affect design space in one way or the other because they affect the deck, right? In all playtesting, when it comes to LSS, I would highly assume that they have a list of the staples of the auto-include cards, and they plan around that, right? They play test with those cards involved. If they're just taking a 60-card deck of new stuff they invented, then I feel that's kind of problematic, because that's not real playtesting when it comes to the meta, right? So you have all these other cards that are in auto-include that, in my opinion, should be tested around. And therefore, anything they come up with has to be planned in a, 40-card deck, whatever the true card count is after you take out all the staples. So I do sincerely think and wish that these bans were specific and just affected the bad apples that they clearly list here in this article. Notably, absence. Why 3 of a kinds? 3 of a kinds is shit, right? You can get one off in Riptide, but then you lack... There's not enough reload overall, right? If they print more reload cards, 3 of a kind is gone, which is something they probably should do. But then reload itself, again, goes to the burst aspect. Tome of Harvest, also shit, right? Costs too much, and it being in the arsenal, problematic. Tome of Arknight is too variable. Imperial Flame is simply because Dromai is not meta. I would highly expect, again, given this philosophy, that it goes when Dromai comes back, because it is ridiculous. 3 of a kind, Tome of Harvest, both have natural limiters built into them, right? Which prevent multiple copies of themselves being played in the same turn, and or impose constraints to the volume of cards that can therefore after be played, right? So 3 of a kind, you can't play a card from hand. Tome of Harvest, you need a card in the arsenal. Earth does not have a substantial way to put cards in the arsenal, and 3 of a kind, unless you're Riptide, but then Riptide's ability also doesn't trigger off cards you played from the arsenal, so the only way for 3 of a kind to ever work is with reload, right? So, again, it should be banned. If anything, that's a bigger design aspect than some of these cards, because reload seems like a necessary next step in terms of Ranger's development. And then Tome of Harvest is just horribly statted, in my opinion. Tome of Arknight has enough positive variants built into it, right, that they're letting it stay, because don't you have to draw one of each, or something like that. That's usual Runeblade gist. And then Tome of Imperial Flame, who has a high deck construction burden. It comes with defensive vulnerability, and most importantly, it does not net cards outside of a few Phoenix Flame interactions currently exist. Am I misremembering what Tome of Imperial Flame does? Tome of Imperial Flame. Draw a card if you rolled, said draw 2. You may pitch 2 red cards if you don't banish your hand. Right, yeah, okay. You have to pitch the 2 red cards. Yeah, alright, that's... I was remembering it as significantly worse, right? It is possible that one day Tome of Imperial Flame... It is possible that one day Tome of Imperial Flame may need to join the other forbidden books of Wraith. Wrapping up, these are some big changes. As I've run about in the past, our philosophy towards using a ban-restricted list is only about addressing card interactions that create negative play experiences, but also as a tool we use to actively manage our constructed formats. We acknowledge that the following changes today, there will still be some matchups in Classic Constructed that have I need water. Let me wet my lips. That have polarizing play experiences. For some of those classes, such as Guardian Warrior, there are cards in upcoming products that we believe will help them wrestle back some points in those matchups. Again, this is also a big issue for me, is development cycle, right? They acknowledge that cards are coming. When? If it's the next set, it's still a few months away. If it's in Armory decks, it's still, right? It's only going one or the other. It's still going to be a decent time away, right? They have this knack of banning things while they know what's going on without telling us at all, right? And we just have to accept and expect that they're going to do exactly what they're presenting they will do, even if it's not one for one, right? For Blitz, we're taking some time to look at the formats more holistically and consider a number of potential changes that could be implemented prior to the next skirmish season. So it went from throwaway format to now it should be the player indoctrination format, right? Again, we have strike decks, glorified blitz decks, and it's just a weird back and forth. In the coming weeks, I'll be discussing these changes and the bright future ahead of us in a podcast with senior game designer and lead developer Ryan Goatleb. We invite you to join us on the official Flesh and Blood channel. Their legends live on. Farewells are always hard, and we know that many fans who really enjoyed playing some of these cards, being banned today, particularly Art of War, which has been an iconic part of Flesh and Blood over the past 5 years. Sorry that a good thing has come to an end in Classic Construct and Blitz. However, the legacy of these iconic cards, your chance to keep playing with them, lives on in the Living Legend format, which again suffers from an even worse case of needs specific bans, needs severely greater specific bans, right? These cards are just, again, win more. It's not any hero can utilize it, but it's the same exact problem where you just have the top level, and that's always going to be a thing that plagues the issue, that plagues the format. They need some sort of rotation in it, where it's just, you know, unique matchups where they actively create unique situations and matchups for Living Legend, especially as the pool grows, because you'll have heroes who especially with this design philosophy of, again, tapering off the power, any hero that allows past the ones that already exist, I cannot see how they will compete with Living Legend, right? If they are trying to rein in power creep, then there is nothing they can possibly do. Because Stravo, or any of the elemental heroes, Zen is just going to be the dominant presence, right? Living Legend is worse off for this continued mentality of non-specific bans, blanket bans, right? Living Legend is a format we're putting our support behind, as seen by its inclusion in Skirmish Season 9, currently running, again Skirmish Season 10, running later in the year, in addition to its debate and cooling formats. Living Legend is the home of the most powerful heroes and cards created, as where you'll be able to continue playing these iconic cards for many years to come. Yeah, but that's all you'll ever see. So, overall, bittersweet. Again, I will fundamentally accept that for the overall health of the game, these are great and meaningful changes. I will not accept that non-specific bans was the only route, right? And I do wholeheartedly think and endorse that specific hero bans, right? Not hero bans, specific card bans for specific heroes would be a significantly better outcome. Not only in preserving card costs, right? Because Art of War is going to tank significantly, right? But would also, again, allow cards to have that second life, would allow some of the bottom barrel heroes to have a better chance, a better point, right? A better starting point, right? And just because it ruins it for the minority, it should not be banned for the majority, simply put. And worse yet, they acknowledge all that. And that's my problem with it. Now, if these didn't affect the majority of decks I play, then maybe I'd be singing a different tune, but they do, right? I play FaB for combo, because I think the combo in FaB is very meaningful, right? This is absolutely correct, but I don't think this has been a problem. I don't think that there are any just instant-win combos, because there are still many hoops to jump through. Pulling off the OTK in Melody, it can be done in a significantly short amount of turns. You could probably do it in 3 turns, right? Which makes it feel probably bad for your opponent, but still it's a challenge, because it's not going to win every single match. It's not going to go off every single time. Kano is a bit different because of, you know, pitch stacking and memorizing it over and over, but the majority of combos, even Kano, still requires a decent amount of time and setup. So I do feel overall this is an overcorrection. Overall, this kills any desire I have to play FaB, because these are the decks that I want to play. These are the challenges I want to overcome, and the theory crafting that I want to do. I wanted to find combos for Rosetta, but this cuts out a lot of the mechanics that I would use to find combos. In which case, why bother, right? Because I know fundamentally the hoops I have to jump through to circumvent this is ridiculous and will never be a reasonable thing in a normal game, right? I liked the series I came up with, which was insane but technically possible, because they are all combos that are technically possible, but really hard to pull off. Now, the step up from that is tunic stalling, right? Passing every 3 turns so that I can pop gold to get the same amount of card draw, which is highly unrealistic. Whew. Well, with that out of the way, we will crack some FaB for a little bit, I think. What I actually want to crack, speaking of big bands, is a Arcane Rising First Edition box. It was my birthday yesterday, and I have some spare, and I've been saving it for an occasion. I thought, oh, what better? But, you know, war. Nonetheless, Arcane Rising does have wizard cards. I mean, again, it's First Edition, I'm not going to play with it or anything like that, but, you know, we'll see what we get. I do need to set up the camera, though. Bear with me. It's been a while since I've actually done this. I think that's all I have to do. Oh, that's the wrong way. But my desk is a mess. And I will do probably a more grounded video. Maybe. I don't know if I care that much anymore. FaB has definitely kind of just died on my channel. For lack of me stopping doing videos and whatnot. Oh, no. Interesting. Not finding my phone. I'm surprised there have been more restrictions and suspensions on $40 and up cards. Yeah, their philosophy of maintaining card life, card use. Again, I'd be fine with it. But the issue is Living Legend is not it, right? They haven't put enough support into Living Legend to make it be the second life for cards. Why? Oh, I think I'm using the wrong USB, that's why this is not working. But again, it begs the question, right? If these are the changes they're making now, I cannot see how they just hit more and more cards from the already existing lot, right? Because they want less power creep. Ooh. What have I broken? The mouse still works. I've broken the webcam. I was crushed when Crown of Seeds was banned. Doesn't actually look that bad in Veridance. I mean, she's definitely going to be real fatiguey. Alright. Well... no idea why the camera gone. Let's do that. There we go. Ah, oops. I don't have the app open. Alright, so that should be the camera. But, yeah. I do have a problem with how back and forth their statements are sometimes. They want things to be maintained, but at the same time, they acknowledge things are broken. Like my webcam. Why is my webcam broken now? Oh, I meant to pull something glorious if you can't see my reaction. I suppose between Art of War, Command & Conquer, and Alliance Strike, Art of War was the most abused. Most abused, but again, Command & Conquer is a literal auto-include. And anything they print to compete with Command & Conquer, it just becomes, well, I'll run Command & Conquer and that, right? Would have been on a clock if it wasn't for more ways to tuck the arsenal. Yeah, it is more of a reason for them to then print ways to cycle it. Which, again, feeds back into, you know, like Crown of Seeds and some of the other things that are being banned, where they aid different mechanics. I don't know why the webcam's broken. It's fine. Been a while since I've used this one. Eek. Alright, let me try up to see my webcam. Now, possibly restart something. Oof. Three Arcane Rising boxes, so hopefully it was the good one to pick. We can do that. Yeah, where's the little symbol? For those interested. And another issue for me is they always go with the polarizing change, and they acknowledge that it's going to be polarizing, that people are not going to be significantly happy with it. Yeah, which is another thing. They can lean into what already exists, but expansion slot. I'm gonna go on a full rant. Expansion slot seems heavily underutilized to me, because they want to make 30-some heroes viable, but they give 1 to 2 cards over and over again, and it just seems like it should be significantly greater, or their use of generic should be significantly greater. Oh, that's just the frame. Go there. Alright, I'm fiddling around with stuff too much. That looks kind of weird, but I think that's correct. Go a little higher. There we go. No, too high. There we go. Right, because now I can go to TCG Player, although it doesn't really matter, right? Because there's hardly any listings for first edition cards. Well, let's see. How much is the box I'm cracking? I assume everything's continued going down. Not that much, though. Wow. 50% decline here. Whether you think they were necessarily over. Anyway, well, if my webcam's not working, I suppose we just turn it off. We'll leave chat on. Alright. Arcane Rising, first edition. And a case of Tails. Should I be a tease? And we'll crack some of the Tails first. But I didn't order that much Rosetta as well. I was very excited to learn Wizard and everything. We'll do a box of Tails first. Yeah. Super excited this morning because birthday yesterday, so about a treat. I had some sitting on a shelf. And then this ban and restriction is just, or ban and suspension, it's kind of left a little sour taste in my mouth. So I have not aligned things properly. That'll do. Light's a bit, That. Alright. Tails first, and then we'll do the first edition box. If we can get anything interesting. See if we can pull Art of Wars. I'm sure the first edition is still going. But also, if you didn't know, we'll see if we can find all the pieces for the Infinite Briar combo. Like, this has to be a card that's not on their radar. But I hope sees a lot more use. So Rites of Replenishment, right? Is when this attacks, if you've dealt arcane damage this turn, you may put a non-attack action card from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck. And then when you attack with Rites of Replenishment, if it was fused, you may put an attack action card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. Right, so Force of Nature in Briar with Rites of Replenishment is a infinite sequence where you can draw and recycle as many cards as you want. You do have to empty your deck, which is again going back to their combo aspects where you need to jump through hoops. Emptying your deck is definitely a hefty requirement, but you can pull it all off just from 4 cards. And it's not that hard to do. It would be nice to find it earlier and use it in Blitz. With a 40 card deck, it's a 9 card combo, and it does not use more than 2 copies of any given card. That would have been really, really interesting to try out. I can still try it in Living Legend, I suppose. I can still try combo in Living Legend, it's just they're going to be significantly worse. Then I have to contest with the most calculated decks there ever was. Right, Channel Thunder Steep, also, again, another debatable card, given the philosophy. The fact that it allows any wizard hero to circumvent go again. Which, if action point generation is, one of their issues, that's definitely problematic. It's just straight up damage from, channel mounts. Heroic is not that problematic. But being able to pay 1 and give anything go again. No real goodies yet, unfortunately. I wonder what the third set they have planned is then. Honing Hood for our Cold Foil. You can actually use 3 of a kind to do disgusting things. Since they did mention it, with cards like Honing Hood, where you can cycle back everything and load up. Like you'd use 1 3 of a kind as Ripside, put another 3 of a kind into your arsenal, use it, and then you'd use Honing Hood. And then that would allow you to draw thrice of 3 of a kind. Then you have something like is it Sandscale, which allows you to play arrows from your deck. I mean, there'd be a similar to a Brute combo, where you could just double 3 of a kind, and then play a ton of arrows for your burst damage. Flicker Wisp is also one of the cards. Rites of Replenishment, copy of Flicker Wisp, 2 Force of Nature, and you're sorted. And Fulminate, that's the other one. And then 1 Pitchable. You can go infinitely as Briar. Let's see if my camera's still frozen. Hopefully it went to sleep. And now it's come back. No, it's still interesting. Go this way. So I don't know why I didn't try it earlier. Just to deactivate and reactivate it. Yeah, there we go. Back. Alright. What else? Nada. I mean, this is the other fundamental issue with FaB as well, right? They focusing on making a lot more cards impactful, definitely be wonderful. Because the majority of bulk we get is not wonderful. But what they need is more cards to circumvent the downfalls of a lot of cards, right? Because the constraints a lot of cards have usually comes down to action points or draw or resources. If they had more ways to generate it, as with draw cards or anything like that, that would be a little bit better. That would make a lot more things a lot more playable. To be honest, we're kind of really only looking for the legendary in this case. I don't think there's anything else that truly takes my interest. Like, okay, so Blink, yeah, in any of the Lightning heroes with Tome of Aetherwind. So I have to play 1 card in order to get an action point. But then make Tome of Aetherwind just cycle. Which makes it good, just not great. Nada. Still nada. I doubt there's 2 gold balls. We only have to check. There we go, channel mount heroic. Assume that's still on the up and up. Oh, it's nice. I can feel significantly less qualms about opening Welcome Wraith or Arcane Rising Recruit, because I have a few boxes. Nothing insane. But I would like to only keep 1 of each. Just to have on display. Looks like there's nothing really in this box. I'll light it up for Lexi. Completely useless. Oh. No. Don't know why I thought the boots were something. It's been a while since I've opened Tails. Anything. Nada. Don't actually need the rights of replenishment. Still though, Flicker Wisp, Channel Mount Heroic, and Blink. Probably all worth something. I do think Channel Thunder Steep should be going up. Alright. Let's open the Arcane Rising. Trying to have a little bit of fun. I do feel really, really bad with the changes. Like, my interest in FaB was already kind of waning. Again, they're good changes. I'm just bitter. I wholeheartedly acknowledge that. Alright. Arcane Rising First Edition. I will try and do it neatly. I've never had an interest in keeping empty boxes or empty packets. It's never really. I mean, what I do want to keep, though, is a set, right, of the pictures, full, right? So, how to do this? We'll have to organize them, and then go through them slowly. If we don't find the cold file, I'm just going to have to open them anyway. It is done. Box is open. You can do it neatly-ish. There we go. Arcane Rising, First Edition. Battle Rates. Yeah. 5th anniversary? Nah. Might do it. Love break for that. That'd be fun. Moldy, old cardboard smell. Fantastic. And there you go. I did keep the box in relatively nice condition. Alright. Now we have to sort them by picture. I do want 1 of each. Dash. Failure. Sorry, Kano. Dash. Alright, and then we just open them 1 by 1. We get cold foil. And I can just grab randomly. Whichever one I want. There we go. No red tag, no nothing. More Arcane Rising, First Edition. I don't really have space though. You can do it like that. Alright. Where's my sleeves? That's probably the other big question. I think these are form-fitting. Yes, they're not the ones I want. Form-fitting. You are. They're the inner sleeves. Should have had it packed around here somewhere. There we go. Make sure they're the right size though. You're a junk I don't need. I probably do want to cut this up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. Alright. That's right, let's do it from the start. Arcane Rising First Edition. I'm going to keep 4 packets, 1 of each art style, sealed. We're just going to go through one by one, see what we get. If we pull the cold foil, then I don't have to worry. Otherwise, hopefully, by the time we get to the bottom, right, I can just keep 1 of each. But we will try and do these neatly-ish. They're old, so they should just tip open. Although the Welcome to Wraith ones usually have really bad, what would be the wording? Tearing? Not tearing. The inner foil sticks to the outer. Makes them really bad to open. Yeah, there you go. It actually has it as well. Right, where it's over the card slightly. Alright. See what we can find. Did the charge. Red Fate for Scenes is probably what we want. But otherwise, the majority, are useless. Foils are still kind of something. So we do want them. Northern equipment, there might be some niche people who want first edition Northern. Generally speaking, only the foils are worth something. But to open another Azalea. But in all honesty, we just want to see the Majestics and the foil above all else. Fights Whispers actually might be something. But I think that's more of a card I lean into. Right, still common equipment. Yeah. Nada so far. At least I can fill out my binder a bit more. Arcane Rising is actually the set I have opened the least in. Okay. Nice Kano. Weirdly, I would have taken a Mage Master. Ravenous Rabble, that's probably a good one to put aside. And our first super rare is Become the Arknight. For foil for the first edition. Oh. There we go. It's the first pack I have desecrated. Contraband. I'm basically just going to pull out reds. Don't have Aetherwind. That's banned. Hamstring shots. Not super interesting foil. Alright, back to Azalea. Be kind of annoyed if the cold foil is at the bottom, slash doesn't exist. Push the points. I don't think they run anymore, are they? I have to go through the cards afterwards anyway. Zipper hit, another Null Rune. We'll speak that up. Is beta or not? Not many people care about the little -C. Back Alley, Moonwish, Absorbent Aether, so the tip. Reverberate, that's the foil. Done a decent job with a lot more of these than I thought. Opening them. Another Ravenous Oath, Juice, Yellow. Yellow Ravenous Rabble for the foil. Might have been something. If it was red. Yeah, is that the first rare? Oath of the Arknight. The foil. Might just shuffle them. Oh, there we go. A red Fate for Scene. 0 to 60. The Null Rune. Contraband. Just a common though. Well, a bit short on M's and S's so far. What is it? It's like 2 M's? 4 S's, something like that. Let's spell invocation. Robes of Rapture. Well, so far, nothing substantial. Blazing Aether. And foil would have been really cool. Rune chance. We have to. Charge. Salvage shots. Really like Mage Master in cold foil. Well, actually, I would have. Because, not so many cards to play with it anymore, unfortunately. Another Ravenous Rebel. This is Searing Shot. I mean, the majority of this will go into the folder anyway. I'll have to sort through it afterwards. Take cover, and bullseye braces. Well, we're down to the 2 of each left. So these are no cold foil, or it's going to screw me and the cold foil's going to be at the bottom. Come on. Give me the cold foil. Come the Arc Knight again. And a foil Ravenous Rebel. That one I'm kind of curious about. Alright, well. The 50-50. Which one's to keep? Blue top for Azalea. This has a bubble. Aether. Take cover. Lead the charge. And no cold foil. The bottom for the Bizarre pack. Silver tip for the foil, and no cold foil. Top for dash. Gonna make me open all the packs. Ooh. That was a big wad of phlegm. All the mold. Rusted Relic for the Superior. My voice is shot now. No cold foil though. That was going to make this even more annoying. If I end up opening the whole box, and then there's no cold foil. Aether Sink, Pearl of the Metal, locked and loaded, and no cold foil. Well, that is the 4 packs left. So I guess we are cracking everything. And no cold foil. Probably a sign that it is time to move on from FaB. Nah, that's just bad luck speaking. Well, no cold foil. Another bubble. Ignition nodes, absorb the Aether, and no cold foil. 2 packs left. Unfortunately. Come fights, and no cold foil. Whoa! We treat it like Schrodinger's cat. Leave it sealed. Except that there's a cold foil in here. Scene. Well, Klloo's actually nice. Alright. Cold foil? Cold foil this box. That is disappointing. That is all the packs. And nothing to show for it. Oh well. You win some, you lose some. Nada. Nada. We have the fancy box though. We'll go through the cards. I don't even think we hit anything substantial when it comes to the Majestics. I think that was just a really, really bad box. I don't think that's worth cutting up. Alright, we'll sort some of the cards. Then we'll put the foils aside and the choice cards. Notches and S. Bubble. Rebel. Alright. We get anything interesting for a foil. The Ravenous Rebels, I guess, but I don't think they're as substantial. I don't think there's the Lead the Charge, kinda, but I don't think that's much of a card of interest for many people. It is probably the most uniquely designed card, right? Because of how it works mechanically. Nowadays, its effect would be just go again. And then for Majestic, Klloo Core, that's just a common. And a Blazing Aether were our two Majestics. We foil Majestic, unfortunately. Rusted Relic. Come the Arknight. Come the Arknight. Rusted Relic is an awful card. That'd go again? Maybe. If that'd go again, I actually think it would see a ton of play. Oh well. In an alternative universe, they gave it go again. And knock the Death Whistle. Which in foil probably would have been something. I think getting any of the spec cards in foil would have been nice. But overall, very, very disappointing box. Go with a disappointing ban and suspension. Yeah. If I was the gambling man, I'd take that as a sign. But still, I have some nice fancy memorabilia to stick in a folder. See what cards I'm missing, I suppose. Do one more Tails. And then I'm going to play an RPG. You can close. What would it be? Good question. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Don't really need that. Alright. Let's see if we can get a legendary coming from Tails. Get that bitterness out my mouth. I should have just kept the 4 packs and had something to frame, because that's what I really wanted. But Arcane Rising is not too horrendous. But I have one box. Well, I have one box to frame and another box to open on a rainy day. But so far, not definitely failed. Dig and Destroy. Somewhat decent. Name of Device, nada. Ooh, not too quickly. Nada. We're not crazy, right? Cold Falls in the middle? Yeah, well, Pony Hook is in the middle. I'd have to go all the way to the back. Panel like Frigid. Non-reverse. Also a very beautiful card. They're reverse. Alternative art. Why am I calling it reverse? That. Awakening. Lightning Surge and no cold foil. That up. Oh, that is an upside-ish. This is the first New Horizon that I've ever pulled. But, to be a bit better, is now overshadowed by a Rainbow Foil New Horizon, which is significantly rarer in actuality. But still, getting a unique legendary does feel good. Finally, a New Horizon. I think a sorcery is also an interesting pull, so is the Channel Thunder Steep foil. Thing Sorcery also has some good combo potential with Flicker Wisp in the Lightning Rune Blade. Caution makeup for the day. We get another costume as well. I've pulled a lot of costumes. I think I'm to like my 5th one, and I have not opened that much Tails. Looking old. Maybe just a duo of Pulse Foils. I think the one we lacked in Arcane Rising. But let's play a whole bunch now. Cool. Was a dual Cold Foil box. New Horizon and a Ragamuffins. Hats. Hat. That's the wrong way. No, hoping for 2 more aims. Force of Nature. There we go. Obviously a Rice spec, but part of the instant combo. Sad, but I don't think any of the dual elemental heroes will ever get reprinted. So just a Earthbriar, you'd still do the infinite combo with Flicker Wisp and a Frostlock. Decent chunk of them. Nada. And you lost. No, still a decent Tails box. New Horizon and a fair amount of M's. Actually, a substantial amount of M's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? 4 and 2, I think is the... Or is it 6 and 2? Might be the average. But still some decent cards. The Sting Sorcery will sleep on the channel on the steep. But the Sting Sorcery is probably good. And then of course a New Horizon and Mr. Ragamuffins hat. But the New Horizon is a legendary I don't have, surprisingly. Definitely a good pull. Still probably don't use it much though. Although, you know, 3 of a kind play. I think I can find some use for this. I might look into a 3 of a kind combo. I might look into combos just to, I don't know, be more jaded about the ban and suspensions. I'll look for a way to show off that 3 of a kind should be banned. Same with maybe some of the other cards. Where do I put the other idea? The other Tails. Alright, so now from Tails, garbage from the first edition Arcane Rising. So much so, I'm not going to come down, I'm not going to upload it. If you're hearing this, though, you just joined, you want to see me crack a Arcane Rising box. There is absolutely nothing in it. We didn't get We didn't get an Art of War. We didn't get anything at all worth noting. Our foils were not great. So, don't bother. Whoa! What a tumultuous time. But I'm going to play an RPG, Dragon Age 2. And I'm going to restart the stream. If you're just here for FaB, adios. Thanks for tuning in, nonetheless. But I'd rather just restart the stream than have to change the title and everything. Makes it easier as well, because I just leave the live VODs up. I don't have to edit. Well, I edit them in YouTube. Alright, but I can turn this off now. I was curious. Open a $1,000 box and got zilch. Not even, you know, like $100 cold foil. I would have really taken a Mage Master boots. But at least I get stuck in my decks. Melody needs her fancy boots. Oh well. Just a little jaded. I have to move the webcam back. Alright. Done with FaB. Not done with FaB, but done with FaB for today. Maybe done with FaB. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. Oh, I really don't like the bans and suspensions. Anyway, anyone hanging around, thank you. I'm going to restart the stream, so if you want to watch me play an RPG, hang around. Otherwise, adios.